Pariksha, welcome everyone to our Bhagavatam class. Welcome to our Bhakti class. We begin with our prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshura Tasmai Shri Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Nitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patidana Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namaha Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Pashatyade Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, welcome everyone. We are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam chapter 25. We'll begin today. This chapter is entitled The Glories of Devotional Service. And from this chapter, the description of Sankhya will be described by Kapiladev. So in this section, from 25th to 33rd chapters, Kapiladev will describe the philosophy of Sankhya in various ways. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he tells that for Gaudiya Vaishnavas, this third canto of Sankhya, this Sankhya described in the third canto and the 11th canto of Uddhava Gita. So Uddhava Gita, which is described in 11th canto, they are most important. And it is a very, very common observation that whenever any Acharya wants to establish Siddhanta and Tattva, they would quote from third canto and 11th canto. And if anything is to be spoken about rasa, then they quote from 10th canto. So all three are important, Tattva, Siddhanta and Rasa. So these three cantos, third canto, 11th canto and 10th canto, they describe Tattva, Siddhanta and Rasa. And Srila Prabhupada, he gave a series of talks on this Sankhya, and the entire conversation, all the talks, they are compiled in a book called as Teachings of Lord Kapila, the son of Devahuti. Not just why Srila Prabhupada has given this title, son of Devahuti, subtitle?
The son of Kapila.
Yes. Because there was a atheistic Sankhya also given by atheistic Kapila. And in this book, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Swarup Damodar Goswami, he gives a foreword and he explains what is Sankhya. So in that he writes, what is Sankhya? Insofar as Sankhya deals with the elemental categories or principles of physical universe. Elemental categories or principles of physical universe. Sankhya is what Western scholars generally refer to as metaphysics. So this is from TLC forward. Swarup Damodar Maharaj writes. The term Sankhya literally means to count. This name is used because Sankhya philosophy enumerates Principles of Cosmic Evolution by Rational Analysis. So this is some of the things from that book. So we always say we are not this body, we are soul, but we should know what this body is all about. That is also a part of knowledge. Knowledge means to know matter, spirit, and controller of both. So we should also know what this body is entirely made up of and what it is not made up of. So even the modern psychologists, they mix what is mind, intelligence, ego. They don't have clear conception. And they speak about all these three concepts interchangeably, mind, ego, consciousness, intelligence. But in this section, Kapil Dev very clearly describes what is the function of the mind, intelligence, ego, what is chitta, what is consciousness. All these things are very nicely described. So, because unless we have this understanding, that understanding will not become realization. Gyan only will become Vigyan. If we don't have Gyan, then how it will become Vigyan? So knowledge becomes realization, but first we should have the knowledge. Otherwise, suddenly the realizations will not come without getting knowledge. So Gyan transforms into Vigyan when we apply it. So we should have a correct understanding, otherwise our realization will not be right. It will give us wrong realization. So Kapila Dev, in this series of chapters, he is going to tell what is relevant for devotees. In the second chapter, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells, Esha te abhita sankhye. This word sankhya comes in Bhagavad Gita 2.39. Esha te abhita sankhye buddhir yoge tumashno buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandhan prahasyasi. So the sankhya, there he describes in a very brief way about what is sankhya. He describes about the five elements, he describes about what is soul, but not in a very elaborate way. So Vrindavan Maharaj writes in the book, etymological meaning of the word Sankhya is that which explains very lucidly by analysis of material elements. Samyak khyayate iti Sankhya. Samyak, that which explains very lucidly about the material elements. What are these material elements all about? Philosophically, this term is used because Sankhya system expounds analytical knowledge that enables one to distinguish between matter and spirit. So that is a very, very important branch. Although we are not Gyanis, but we should know what is Gyan of this world also. That is also required. The Gyan of this world, as Ishopnishad tells, Vidyam cha avidyam cha yastat ved ubhayam saha. You should know both what is knowledge and what is ignorance. Vidya and avidya. Both should be known. So therefore, this Sankhya describes what is matter so that you can understand, okay, this is matter and this is not matter. So spirit and matter can be very nicely distinguished by understanding this Sankhya. And then he writes, this understanding culminates in bhakti, devotion, or and service to the Supreme. So, why this chapter has come up? So, Parikshit Maharaj, he asks various questions in the second canto. Which chapter in the second canto is questions of Parikshit? Eighth chapter, entire chapter is only questions by Parikshit Maharaj. And all these chapters, all these questions may not be relevant for devotees because some of the people who were there, some of the personalities who had assembled in the place where Shukdeva Goswami was speaking, they were not devotees. There were Gyanis also, there were some yogis also. So Shukdeva Goswami was speaking for them. And because if some things are going on, if I'm speaking something and it is not relevant for a group of people, they will think, हमारे लिए कुछ है ही नहीं, धर्म जा रहे हैं. They'll be bored. and they leave the place. So Shukdev Goswami is such a wonderful speaker. He is telling something about everything.
केमिकल असतात कलर मध्ये फरक दिसतो ना.
He's describing something about everything so that the interest can be maintained. And slowly he's bringing everyone to the level of pure devotional service. So that is how very mature speaker speaks. So because if the speaker will speak something which is relevant to them, they will appreciate that. Oh, he's a good speaker. He's speaking what we are practicing. That will increase their sukriti because he's appreciating a devotee. And then gradually bring to the process of pure devotional service. So that is how Shukdev Goswami describes so many things. And Kapila in this whole section, he describes basically jnana and brings it to the bhakti. That is the ultimate presentation of Sankhya. That's how Kapila answers the questions of Devahuti. He will tell that there are three ways to achieve perfection, and bhakti is the best. So he describes jnana and yoga in 25th, 26th, 27th chapters. 28th chapter, he describes devotional service in detail. So that's how he presents this Sankhya in a very, very neutral way, not emphasizing much on jnana or yoga or bhakti. He gives a neutral presentation and ultimately he gives something about bhakti also. So that's how Kapila he presents this wonderful section which is little technical, and Devahuti keeps asking so many questions about jnana, about yoga, and Kapila he patiently answers all of them. He doesn't tell, yes, sir, lower level, I'll give you bhakti only. He is very nicely explaining all things so that others may not feel ये तो भक्ति के प्रति bias presentation दे रहे हैं. It's like many people they tell about Prabhupada. Bhakti commentary दिया है इन्होंने. So Kapil Dev is giving a very very neutral presentation and bringing everyone to a level of pure devotional service. And in this series of chapters, we also get a very nice understanding of what is jnana, what is ashtanga, because we should understand these facts without criticizing them. One of the Can anyone tell me there is one aparad, on the 10 offenses we tell, related to criticism of the scriptures?
Oh, one.
क्या है वो?
The scriptures versions of Vedic worship.
Yeah. So why a devotee will criticize any Vedic book? How he can describe how he can criticize or she can criticize a Vedic book?
Different modes of nature. I'm sorry, different modes for different modes. Scriptures are there, so people can say.
Now, this is for devotee. A devotee should not criticize. All these 10 offenses are for those who are chanting, right? So why a devotee will criticize Vedic books?
Devotee, they won't appreciate karma card, jnana card.
Yes. They may, demean, they may tell, oh, these are of no use, they are given for other people. Actually, it is not so much recommended. It is actually in one way criticizing those books because they are meant for certain section of people who are not qualified to come to the level of bhakti. So, Shruti Shastra Ninda, we should not do. We should know what is jnana, what is ashtanga, and what is bhakti, and always understand that all these things are given so that ultimately people can come to the level of bhakti. So that's how we will never blaspheme Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, NOD, Chaitanya Charitamrita. We will never do that, But we may blaspheme Karmakandiya literatures. We may blaspheme Jnana literatures. So that's how we have to. We may say, Krishna tells त्रैगुण्या विषया वेदानि त्रैगुण्यो भाव अर्जुन देखो कृष्ण ने बोला छोड़ दो आप लोग क्यों फॉलो कर रहे हो you are following a nonsense. So all these things we should be careful of. So Krishna tells devotees not to take such paths, but don't criticize those paths. They are meant for certain people. They are mentioned in the Vedas so that some people, they can gradually, who are not having sufficient sukriti, they can gradually come up to the level of bhakti. Because it is a common observation, if we do any program, any course on Bhagavad Gita, 100 may attend, but ultimately only 5 or 6 may take to it. What about remaining 95? They had some inclination for Vedic path, but they could not fit themselves in the bhakti path. So for them, there are the paths, karma kanda karo, jnana, whatever. So that's how all these paths are there for certain level of people. And that's why Srila Prabhupada wanted Varnashram. Varnashram is for those who can't practice bhakti directly. They should not be given up. So that is the function of Varnashram. Chalo, kuch to karo aap. So Damodar Maharaj also writes in that book, TLC in forward. It may be said that, therefore, Sankhya and Bhakti form two aspects of the same process. Bhakti being the ultimate goal or ultimate aspect of Sankhya. So therefore, basically, this Sankhya is basic Sambandha Gyan. Prabhupada writes a very beautiful line in Bhagavad Gita about, in the 5th chapter also this word comes, Sankhya Yogo Prathagabala Pravadantina Panditaha Ekamapyasita Samyak Ubhayor Vindate Phalam. Prabhupada writes a very interesting line. Anyone remembers that line? What is the difference between Sankhya and Bhakti? Sankhya is like finding the root of the tree, and Bhakti is like watering the root of the tree. So the ultimate thing is water the root of the tree. After finding the root, what will you do? Water the root. So Krishna also tells those who think Bala Pravadanti, only ignorant people, they speak Sankhya and Yoga are prithak. Sankhya and Bhakti, they are different paths. No, they are not different paths. They are paths they are different rungs of the same ladder. They are yoga ladder. पढ़ा होगा ना आप लोगों ने भक्ति शास्त्री, it is described yoga ladder. So because ultimate result of both Sankhya and Bhakti are the same only. यत् सांख्य प्राप्यते स्थानम तद योगैरपि गम्यते. जो सांख्य से मिलेगा योग से भी वही मिलेगा. एकम सांख्यम च योगम च यः पश्यति स पंडितः. So that person is intelligent and scholarly who knows. Ekam Sankhyam cha yogam cha. Sankhya and yoga, bhakti yoga, both will give the same result. They are the paths, they are the rungs on the same ladder. And last time, in the last chapter, when Kapila Dev's advent was described, Brahmaji tells Bhaktana Manavardhanaha. Remember that verse. Bhaktanam, this Kapila Dev will glorify, increase the man, increase the respect of the devotees. So how the respect of the devotees will increase? By description of bhakti only. So therefore, this Sankhya is prominently to glorify bhakti yoga. Srila Prabhupada writes there, therefore he is called Bhaktana Manavardhanaha. By distributing Sankhya, he would increase the honor of the devotees. Therefore, Sankhya philosophy is not dry speculation. And then there Prabhupada writes, Sankhya means devotional service. How could the honor of devotees be increased unless Sankhya were meant for devotional service? But Bhakti नहीं बताएंगे तो भक्तों का मान कैसे पड़ेगा? So that means Sankhya is for devotional service. And then Swarup Damodar Maharaj writes about the imitation Kapila. It is interesting to note that at this point, that long after Lord Kapila's descent, an imitation Kapila appeared on the Indian subcontinent and propounded a atheistic Sankhya. Therefore, Prabhupada gave this title Son of Devavati to distinguish what is original Sankhya and what is atheistic Sankhya. Okay, so with this background, we'll begin this 25th chapter.
Because it is difficult to process Sankhya philosophy.
Not so difficult. अभी हम लोग वो थर्ड कैंटो सेकंड कैंटो पूरा पढ़ ही लिए क्रिएशन. So yes, it is like that only, little more detail. शौनक उवाच
शौनक उवाच
भगवान् आत्ममायया जातः स्वयमजः साक्षात्
जातः स्वयं साक्षात्
Sri
आत्मप्रजान् पत्नी गुणान्
all born. The supreme personality of Godhead took birth as Kapila Muni by his internal potency. He descended to disseminate transcendental knowledge for the benefit of the whole human race.
Kapila Tattva Sankhyata. Kapil Dev, he was the knower of Tattva. Tattva Sankhyata. Bhagavan, he is that same Supreme Lord. Atma Mayaya Jataha. Where in Bhagavad Gita Krishna says Atma Mayaya. I take birth by my own potency. Anyone remembers this? Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishwaropi san prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavami. 4.6. Krishna tells this. Here also saying Bhagavan Atma Mayaya Jataha Swayam. He is Ajaha, unborn. Sakshat, the same Supreme Lord, he descended. Why? Atma Pragyaptaye. He descended to disseminate the transcendental knowledge. Atma Pragyaptaye Nrinam. To disseminate the transcendental knowledge for the human race. So that's how in 21st chapter, this Vidura, he asked about the genealogical line of Swayambhuva Manu. Then Maitreya Muni first starts with Devahuti. And now there is a detour. शुरू किया था होता है ना क्लास में ऐसा हो जाता है प्रभु जी वो एक मिनट क्वेश्चन है तो क्वेश्चन में दूसरा क्लास हो गया पहला टॉपिक रह ही गया सो यहाँ पे वही हो रहा है. So it was started with the description of the family and then marriage, and Devahuti married, and then she had children, daughters, and then daughter was they were married, and then son is born, and then the Shaunakadi rishis, as usual, when the devotees they have a inquisitive Shaunak rishi ko. So Shaunak rishi is now taking a detour here. He wants to listen. क्या बताया? So Kapila and Devahuti, they sat. Raghunandan Ramprabhu, can you please keep yourself muted because there is some disturbance from your side. Thank you. So now he wants to hear more about the teachings of Lord Kapila, which he gave to Devahuti. Atma Pragyaptaye. He descended to disseminate the real purpose of Lord's descent is to give a living entity this process of devotional service, Atma Pragyaptaye, transcendental knowledge. As Kunti Maharani, she offers her prayers in the first canto. She gives various reasons why Lord appears. What are reasons she tells? 4-5 लोग आते हैं ना उसमें कैसे शुरू करते हैं वो? Anyone remembers that? मैं probably 2 पॉइंट पहले का पूछ रहा है. She begins with नहीं वो तो है when she tells about why Lord appears. She says apare vasudevasya devakyam yachitopyagat ajastvamasya shemaya vadaya cha suradvisham. Some people say you appeared because Devoti Vasudev prayed. Some people say because you wanted to destroy all the demonic people. Some people say you appeared to increase the glory of the devotee king like Yudhishthira Maharaj. And then after, some people say because the Devtas, they went and prayed to Brahma and Brahma prayed to you, that's why you appeared here. No, Ajwa. And then she says, no, the actual reason is Bhavesmin Klishyamananam Avidya Kama Karmabhi Shravana Smaranarhani Karishan Nitikechana. That's the real meaning. Bhavesmin Klishyamananam, people who are suffering by Avidya Kama Karmabhi. They are doing all the material activities, they are getting bound. So therefore, arahani, to increase the process of shravana, smarana. There is no other purpose of your appearance, O my Lord. So any avatar appears to increase the shravan and kirtan of his pastimes. So he's asking, can you please tell me what was the description given? Nahi asya varshvana pumsam. Next verse. Nahi asya varitta sarvayogina vishrutau shrutadevasya bhuri tripyanti me asavaha.
Saunaka continued, there is no one who knows more than the Lord himself. No one is more worshipable or more mature a yogi than he. He is therefore the master of the Vedas, and to hear about him always is the actual pleasure of the senses.
So in the previous verse purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, Vedas are meant for one to elevate one from ignorance to goodness. Because at the level of goodness, only one can understand transcendental knowledge. And ordinary man cannot appreciate this transcendental knowledge. So therefore, a disciplic succession was required. And Lord has again appeared here to reestablish the principles of devotion, as Brahmaji told in the last chapter. One of the things he said, this knowledge was coming in parampara, then it was lost again. Therefore, he has appeared to reestablish. As Krishna says, evam parampara praptam sakaleneha mahata yogo nashta. Similarly, Kapaladev is appearing here to reestablish the principles. Shaunak Muni also states here that Kapila appeared simply to appreciate and disseminate transcendental knowledge. Okay. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur tells, he quotes this verse from Bhagavad Gita, Janma Karma Chame Devyam. Okay, so now in this verse he says, Nahi asya varshmana pumsam. There is no one who knows more than the Lord himself. भगवान से ज्यादा कौन जानता है? Varimna sarvayoginam. No one is more worshipable or more mature a yogi than he. So of all the yogis, Kapila is described as the best of the yogis. Vishrutau Shrutadevasya, therefore, he is the master of the Vedas. Bhuri tripyanti me asavaha. And to hear about him is the actual pleasure of the senses. This comes again and again. Where all it is described? Anyone remembers any verse or translation where somebody say, I'm not satisfied yet. I want to hear more.
This exam श्लोक है also there.
हाँ वो उसमें भी है. क्या है वो श्लोक? अरे आज टेस्ट डे याद किया आप लोगों ने, ऐसा नहीं कर सकते.
कीर्तयो भद्रन्ते
हाँ.
कीर्तन्य उदार
हाँ.
Then the next sentence. Rasakness.
कौन तृप्यता हली लीलामृतम पिबन. Yes. So again and again comes first canto ka first chapter last verse, vayam tu na vitripyama, we are not satisfied, please keep on citing. Parikshit Maharaj says bolte rahiye, I am not thirsty, hungry. ये बहुत बार again and again. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, my life, air and senses cannot be fully satisfied with the topics of Kapila, greatest among the Purushas, such as Shirodakshai. Greatest among the yogis, the Tatreya. I delight in hearing. Shrutadevasya or Shrutadevasya along with Bhuri can refer to the topics of the Lord who is heard about plentifully. Everyone hears about the Lord in plentiful way. So there are three causes of dissatisfaction If the object is not capable of satisfying us, then we'll not be satisfied. If the object is capable, but we don't know how to use it to derive satisfaction, it is just like a jackfruit. A person who does not know how to take out the essence of the jackfruit. like, क्या है कुछ भी फालतू सा है यूजलेस पता नहीं क्यों इतना गुणगान करते हैं इसका. So that gives dissatisfaction. And the third way why a person is dissatisfied, object is so wonderful that one wants more and more and more. That is the situation of Hari Katha. तन्नो भवान्वै भगवत प्रधानो महत्तम एकांत परायणस्य हरेरुदारम चरितम विशुद्धम शुश्रूषताम नो. कहाँ पे आता है श्लोक? एटलीस्ट वर्स चैप्टर तो बताइए.
19th.
First canto,
19th.
18th chapter में आता है. Who is telling to whom?
So Parishad Maharaj is no, this is internal.
Saunakadi rishis are glorifying Sut Goswami.
Yes.
That आप भगवत प्रधान है and कथा जो आप बोल रहे हैं that is wonderful. And we are Shushrushatam, we are eager to hear. So that's how it is so very wonderful. So this is for the third reason that अरे इतना अच्छा है. Anyone remembers any other place where it has come कि भैया इतना अच्छा है कि और सुनाइए आप. I have heard but I want to hear more. Comes in third canto. I'll give you a hint.
जय विजय पास टाइम प्रभु जी.
कहाँ पे आता है पता नहीं, हो सकता है. I'm not remembering that. But विदुर जी मैत्रेय मुनि से मिल रहे हैं. मैत्रेय मुनि को बोल रहे हैं please tell me about Krishna. So he says, and I have heard a lot of dharma artha kama moksha from Vyasadev, but I am not satisfied. परावरेशम भगवन व्रतानी श्रुतानी में व्यास मुखात. बहुत सुना है परावर कथा, but अतृप्नुमा शुल्ल सुखावहानाम, it has given me very little pleasure. Maitreya Muni says, you must have heard about Krishna also. You are born in the family of Krishna. कितना सुना रहे. Then how can one be satisfied? Kastripnuyat. Who can be satisfied hearing about Krishna? Kastripnuyat tirthapado vidana shatreshu asuri viridyamana ya karnanadim purushasya yato bhavapradam geharatim chinatti. Kastripnuyat. So this is a third reason by which is the cause of dissatisfaction. You want to hear more. और बताइए. भूरि तृप्यन्ति में असवः. It is giving me such pleasure. Srila Prabhupada writes, second paragraph, anyone who is associated with the Supreme Lord is accepted as a first-class yogi. The devotees may not be as powerful as Lord, but by constant association with the Lord, they become as good as the Lord. And sometimes devotee acts more powerfully than the Lord. Example, devotee acts more powerfully than the Lord. So many examples. Srila Prabhupada is the example. My glory will be spread all over the world. So apparently, Prabhupada did more than Mahaprabhu. By the mercy of Mahaprabhu, Hanumanji, he went across the Lanka. Lord Ram could have done it. Lord Ram could have killed everyone, all the army, but he gave credit to Hanumanji. Lord Krishna gave credit to Pandavas to kill all these most famous demons of the world. Nobody knows Aghasur Konta, Putana, Trinavarta, Bakasur, Pralambasur. Everybody knows Kauravas. So Krishna would have killed them also, but he gave credit. What is this called as? And Krishna wants to give credit to his devotees. And he works in very wonderful Adbhuta Karamana. And another word where it is described as Sarva Saundarya Sangraham. It comes in the Rudra Gita. इसमें आता है सर्व सौंदर्य संग्रहम. When Lord Shiva is describing the glories of form of the Lord, he says the second line is सर्व सौंदर्य संग्रहम रूपम भगवतो नहीं. So in that purport, Prabhupada writes, Sarva Saundarya Sangraham means the Lord is most beautiful, and the most beautiful aspect of the Lord is he gives credit to his devotees. That is Sarva Saundarya Sangraham. So Prabhupada writes there. Sometimes the devotees act more powerfully than the Lord. Of course, that is Lord's concession. Also used here is the word Varimnaha, meaning the most powerful of all yogis. To hear from Krishna is a real pleasure of senses, therefore he is called as Govinda. For by his teachings, by his words, by his instructions, by everything connected with him, he enlightens. In the 11th canto, there is a verse which says, Uddhava is telling Krishna, Krishna, you have manifested in this beautiful form, Swamurtya Lokalavanya Nirmuktya Lochanam Drisham. You have stolen the eyes of everyone. You have stolen the ears. By your wonderful activities, people want to hear about you only. You have captured their legs and they want to go to the places where you have performed your pastimes. That's how everything is attractive about you. You enliven all the senses. Achidya Kirti Sushlokam. You have spread your glory just to attract everyone. Prabhupada writes, whatever he instructs is from the transcendental platform, and his instructions, being absolute, are not different from him. Hearing from Krishna or his expansion like Kapila is very pleasing to senses. They are not different. Bhagavad Gita can be heard or read many times because it gives great pleasure. The more one reads Gita, the more he gets the appetite to read and understand it. Each time he gets new enlightenment. That is the nature of transcendental message. Every time one reads Bhagavatam, reads Bhagavad Gita, one gets new understanding. Now, every time you read the same line, you'll get different meanings depending on the level of realization a devotee has. The verses reveal, the purports reveal themselves. They are not ordinary statements. Bhagavatam is Krishna himself, and Krishna reveals according to the level of devotion a devotee has. So that is how we have to approach. We cannot approach Bhagavatam in the mood of conquest. We have to approach Bhagavatam in the mood of request. सब पूरा रट लिया, पूरा याद कर लिया, purport एक लाइन याद कर लिया, उससे क्या होगा? We have to be in the mood of request. Pray to Bhagavatam to reveal. Okay, then after glorifying Shaunakadi rishis, now they directly ask what they want to hear in the next verse. Yad yad vidhatte bhagavan swachandatmatma mayaya tani me shraddhanasya kirtanyanyanu
Therefore, please precisely describe all the activities and pastimes of the personality of Godhead, who is full of self-desire and who assumes all these activities by his eternal potency.
यद यद विधत्ते, all the activities and pastimes, जो भी किया सब बताइए मेरे को. स्वच्छंद आत्मात्म माया, the Supreme Lord who is full of self-desire and assumes all these activities by Atma Maya. Swachanda Atma, he is independent and he performs these activities by Atma Maya, by his internal potency. Tani me, all of them I want to hear. And I am faithful. That is my qualification. What is my qualification to hear? Shraddha Kirtayani Anukirtaya. Therefore, please precisely describe So precisely describe means what? अपने मन से मत बोलिए, जो सुना है वही बोलिए. No. Prabhupada focus on that. Anukirtaya. That means to describe. Follow the description, not to create. Not to create a mental description concocted, but follow. जो आपने सुना है ना शुद्धदेव गोस्वामी से, वही सुनाइए और नहीं सुनाइए कुछ. Same thing Sudha Goswami had said in the beginning also. In the first canto, third chapter, the last verses, I think it tells. Soham va shravayishyami yatha dhitam yatha mati. जो मैंने सुना है और जो मैंने समझा है, यथा धीतम यथा मति. That's what only I'll tell. And here Shaunakadi Rishi knows telling same thing जो आपने सुना है वो बताइए. Anyone, any other words where it is described, whatever I've heard, I will tell.
Maitreya tells to Vidra.
क्या बोलते हैं?
Kirtayami anga.
हाँ, एग्जाम्पल क्या देते हैं उसमें? अच्छा नहीं, इसमें एग्जाम्पल नहीं देते. एग्जाम्पल इस फर्स्ट कैंटो में सूद गोस्वामी टेल्स एन एग्जाम्पल आल्सो. कितना बता सकता हूं मैं? He gives an example. हाँ, क्या है?
As far as the bird can fly.
Yes, as far as the wings of a bird allow him to fly, as far it flies. So as far as my intelligence and my realization goes, I will describe. और वो तथापि कीर्तयामि में what is the next line he says? Otherwise, what will I become?
Asati.
My tongue will become unchaste if I'll not describe. So we have to follow and speak. It is not that, I'm not pure. What will I say? Whatever you have heard, just start speaking. Okay.
Here,
Now,
what does it mean by self-desire? Who is full of self-desire?
self desire मतलब जो इनकी स्वच्छंद इच्छा होती है वही उससे हो जाता है सब. Nobody can dictate him. He is independent, supreme, transcendental autocrat.
स्वच्छंद इच्छा.
Nobody can dictate him. कि भाई आपको ये करना है, वो करना है. Although he becomes bound by the will of the devotees, that is the glory of the Lord. Although he is supremely independent, but that supremely independent Lord becomes dependent. Evam sandarshita yanga harina bhritya vashyata. Savashenapi krishnena yasya idam sa ishwaram vashi. The person who is controlling the controllers of the universe, he is controlled by the devotee. That is the beauty of the Lord. Okay, so now Sudha Goswami, he directly refers to Maitreya and Vidurji talks. And he asks in the next one. Sutta Uvacha, he continues. Dvaipayan sakastvevam Maitreyo Bhagavan Satha Prahedam Viduram Prita Anvikshikyam Prachoditaha.
Srila Goswami said the most powerful saint Maitreya was a friend of Vaibhav. He encouraged and pleased the readers inquiry about transcendental knowledge. Maitreya spoke as follows.
Dvaipayan, who is Dvaipayan? Yes. So इस बार के व्यासदेव का नाम है द्वैपायन व्यास. व्यास is a post. This time Vyasdev is Dvaipayan. Krishna Dvaipayan. Why Vyasdev is Dvaipayan? उनका नाम द्वैपायन क्यों पड़ गया? द्वीप में जन्म है ना. It's born on the island. That's why it's called as Dvaipayan. Who is the next Vyasdev? Ashwatthama is going to be the next Vyasdev. So इस बार के व्यासदेव है कृष्ण द्वैपायन. Every saint has a past, every sinner has a future. So now he's taking training under Vyasdev. बेचारे सुधर गए, क्या करेंगे. अब एक मूवी निकला ना कल की, मालूम है आप लोगों को? कल की मूवी निकला है, उसमें अश्वत्थामा का अच्छा रोल दिखाया है. रोल अच्छे से दिखाया है. कल की पुराण describes detail about what will Ashwatthama do, how he'll become next Vyasdev. This is described in Kalki Puran. थोड़ा उसमें अलग है, थोड़ा थोड़ा सा चेंज किया है, मैंने भी देखा नहीं, somebody was telling me. Parshuram is the one who protects Kalki before his birth. When he was in the womb of his mother, उनका क्या नाम है, शंबल ग्राम में आते ना, उनकी मदर, और विष्णु यशा, और उनकी माँ का भी नाम है, इट इज मेंशन इन भागवतम, विष्णु यशा और उनकी माँ का नाम, they are 4 brothers.
It is named Vaibhav.
अब ये वाला जो शंबल अभी नहीं है, ये इंडिया, ये वाला भूमि का शंबल नहीं है वो, इट इज इन द ग्रेटर हिमालयस, वो वाला भारत, ग्रेटर भारतवर्ष में एक शंबल ग्राम रहेगा, सो वहां पे होंगे.
So it's not in this.
He may come here, but the description is about that. Anyways, Maitreya Bhagavan. Now Maitreya is called as Bhagavan. Who is called as Bhagavan? We have heard it many times. Anyone remembers? Who can be called as Bhagavan? I think we have discussed this sometime also.
Yes.
इसमें दोबारा बोल रहा हूँ, याद रहेगा. Yes, anyone remembers? Who should be called as Bhagavan? भगवान किसको बोलते हैं?
In one purport, the Prabhupada describes, but that is not.
Okay, we'll read that. I'll just find out and we'll read the purport. हमने थर्ड कैंटो में आया ना 2-3 बार, है ना? हाँ, नारद मुनि is also called as भगवान. बहुत बार बहुत सारे लोग भगवान बताते हैं ना उनको. I'll just find out again. Just a minute. Yes. So this is 4:23:30. Oh, sorry, third canto नहीं, fourth canto. 4:23:30. It is described. A person can be, Prabhupada writes in the purport, a person can be addressed as Bhagwan for 3 reasons. If he is a great personality who exhibits extraordinary or uncommon features. Second, who attains the greatest goal after his disappearance. Third, who knows the difference between knowledge and ignorance. And in the another purport, Prabhupada writes, who is called as Bhagwan? There the word used is 4:31:8. In that, Bhagwan Narada. Narada is called as Bhagwan. Why? Because Narada is always absorbed in the thoughts of Bhagwan. So therefore, he is also called as Bhagwan. So Narada has no other business than thinking of Krishna, talking of Krishna, preaching of Krishna. Therefore, he is sometimes called as Bhagavan. So here, Maitreya Muni is described as Bhagavan. Maitreyo Bhagavan Tatha. Being encouraged and pleased. Praha idam. He became happy. When one becomes happy when he is questioned. खुश कब होते हैं क्वेश्चन किया तो? आप लोगों को खुशी कब होती है जब क्वेश्चन पूछा तो?
Answer आता
जब
है.
आंसर आता है. ये तो आता है, ये तो अच्छा क्वेश्चन पूछा है.
Question से पहले answer.
क्वेश्चन से पहले ही आंसर दे देते. So praha idam vidura prita. He was pleased by the inquiries because he knew the answers. And Prabhupada writes in some purport, because he knew the answers. When a speaker knows the answers, he becomes very happy and enlivened when he hears the questions. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, questions and answers were very satisfactorily dealt with when inquirer is bona fide and speaker is authorized. Maitreya is powerful sage, he is called as Bhagwan. This word can be used not only for Supreme Lord, but for anyone who is almost as powerful as Bhagwan. Okay. Then after a few lines, Prabhupada writes, Maitreya was pleased because inquiries were bona fide. And when somebody asks a very irrelevant, absurd question, then the speaker becomes very, annoyed. क्या question पूछा? Oh, any of you have this experience? You give after class, somebody asks completely irrelevant question which has no connection with anything spoken, and कुछ तो इधर उधर का पूछता है, and even if we answer, we think, ये कोई question है पूछने का, So he's saying inquiry was bona fide. So he was happy. When there are discourses on transcendental topics between devotees of equal mentality, the questions and answers are very fruitful and encouraging. So that's how. So he was not disturbed. Vidurji was not thinking, Maitreya Muni was not thinking, इतना question क्यों पूछ रहा है? चुपचाप सुनो ना. पूरा स्टोरी सुन लीजिए, बीच बीच में क्वेश्चन क्यों पूछ रहे? He was happy and alignment because he was not thinking, let me, you asked one question, वो खत्म करने दो ना पहले, genealogical line बताने दो, बीच में दोबारा question क्यों पूछ रहे? He was happy because he got a topic, wonderful topic to discuss, hear more about Krishna. So the hearers and the speakers of Bhagavatam are in complete sync. So when Suta and Shaunaka, they are asking, Shaunaka Rishi asks something to Suta Goswami. Suta Goswami says, Are Vidurji asked the same question to Maitreya. This has happened earlier also. Anyone remembers any time this has happened? Suta Goswami और Shaunaka Rishi ने क्वेश्चन पूछा और बोले इन्होंने भी वही बोला था. Anyone remembers any other? It has happened. End of the second canto. When Shukdev Goswami describes about Shukdev Goswami tells Parikshit Maharaj, I will tell you about Padma Kalpa. तो परीक्षित महाराज क्या बोलते हैं? नहीं, परीक्षित महाराज के पूछने के पहले क्या होता है? चल रहा है, डिस्क्रिप्शन चल रहा है, पूरा क्वेश्चंस हो गया, एंड देन few questions were answered, and then in the course of answering the questions, Shukdev Goswami says, now I will describe Padma Kalpa. तो सूत गोस्वामी और शौनक ऋषि के बीच में क्या होता है?
Then they bring back to the
Why? मतलब क्या, क्यों? शौनक आदि ऋषि still एक काम करें ना, बहुत सारा फिलॉसफी हो गया. वो आपने फर्स्ट कैंटो के 13 चैप्टर में बोला था ना कि विदुर जी वापस आए, वो कहाँ गए, और वो क्या क्या हुआ? So then he says, अरे Parikshit Maharaj also asked the same question to Shukdev Goswami. Therefore there was a detour. पादमा कल्प के पहले बताने लगे तो परीक्षित महाराज को भी वही लगा, थोड़ा सा फिलॉसफी छोड़ के स्टोरी बताइए ना क्या होगा. So here also same thing is happening. Shaunakadi Rishi and Sud Goswami, they are asking. Sud Goswami tells, "Arey, Vidurji asked the same question to Parikshit, Maitreya." Okay. Now Maitreya, he describes. Oh. Prabhupada writes an interesting line. When there are discourses between devotees of equal mentality, what is equal mentality? आपको भी पानीपुरी अच्छा लगता है, मुझे भी पानीपुरी अच्छा लगता है. Equal mentality मतलब क्या होता है? Any thoughts?
both can relish the same.
Yes, both are interested in hearing Harikatha. They are interested in same topics. It is not that, when the neophyte devotees, they sometimes, अरे मैं मूवी देख के आया मालूम है, अरे मैं भी वो वाला मूवी देख के आया. अपना फ्रीक्वेंसी एकदम इक्वल मेंटालिटी है. सजातिया शे साधु सिंह सतोर. That is not a sadhu sangha, sajatiya. Equal mentality means when they both are interested in hearing about Krishna, then the questions and answers are very fruitful and encouraging. So that's how. This way, the retention will be much faster. So Maitreya Muni, he continues the description. मैत्रेय उवाच पितरी प्रस्थितेरण्यम् मातु प्रिय चिकीर्षया तस्मिन् बिन्दुसरे वात्सी भगवान् कपिलः किल
Maitreya said, when Vaibhav left for the forest, Lord Kapila stayed on the stand of the Hindu Sarovara to please his mother Devavati.
Okay. Pitari prasthite. When Pitari, when the father left Aranyam for the forest, Matu Priya Chikirshaya, to please his mother Devahuti, Tasmin Bindusare Avatsid. Kapaladev stayed there on the strand of Bindu Sarovar. He stayed there along with his mother Devahuti, Bhagavan Kapila Kila. So Prabhupada writes, it is duty of the husband to leave home as soon as the son is grown up and serve her to the best of their ability so that, sorry, it is in the absence of the father, it is duty of the grown up son to take charge of his mother and serve her to the best of the abilities so that she'll not feel separation from her husband. And it is duty of husband to leave home as soon as there is a grown up son. That is the Vedic system of household life. One should not remain implicated in the affairs, household affairs, up to the time of death. He must leave. Family affairs and wife may be taken charge by a grown-up son. So Prabhupada always tells these things, how a devotee, how a spiritualist should behave. May not be physically, one can do this, but mentally one should renounce all the responsibilities. Even if he's staying in the family, a devotee should focus only on the practice of devotional service. That is expected. So now, Devahuti, she's staying with her son, and she knows that my son is not an ordinary son. He's a Supreme Lord himself. So one day she goes and remembering the words of Brahmaji, she asks various questions to her great son. तमासीनमकर्माणम् तत्त्वमार्गाग्रदर्शनम् स्वसुतं देवहुत्याः धातु संस्मरति वचः.
When Kapila, who could show the ultimate goal of the absolute truth, was sitting leisurely before her, Devavati remembered the vast Brahma had spoken to her, and she therefore began to question Kapila as follows.
Yeah. So what was the word of Brahma? 3:24:18. Chakravarti Thakur quotes this verse, 3:24:18. Brahmaji tells, the Lord has entered your womb. She remembered, Are to Bhagwan hai. So now she starts speaking. Very, very wonderful verse. Devahuti Ruvacha Nirvinna Nitaram Bhuman Asarindriya Tarshana Yena Sambhavymanena Prapannandham Tamah Prabho.
Devavati said, I am very sick of the disturbance caused by my material senses. For because of this sense disturbance, my Lord, I have fallen into the abyss of ignorance.
Nirvinna. This is a very important word. That decides the mentality of Devahuti, the consciousness, which state she is in, and what is the consequences. What are the consequences of this word? Why Kapiladev describes whatever he describes. Nirvinna, she says, I am disgusted. That is the most important. Disgusted. Nitara, not just Slightly disgusted, very disgusted. Oh Bhuman, oh great Lord, I am really disgusted. Why you are disgusted? Asadindriya Darshana. Because of the sense disturbance caused by my material senses. And what is the result of this disturbance? Yena sambhavyamanena. Because of this sense disturbance, sambhavyamanena, prapanna andham. Prapanna means I have fallen. Andha tama. Tama. Andha, not ordinary tama. Andha tama. Deep, dark ignorance. So what is so interesting about this word nirvinna? Rupa Goswami tells in Nectar of Devotion, what is the qualification for practice of sadhana bhakti? He quotes a verse from Bhagavatam, 11th canto. In that, Krishna tells, Yadrichaya mat kathadav jat shraddho yastu yah puman na nirvinna na atisakta bhakti yogosya siddhida. So what is the qualification for practice of sadhana bhakti? Na nirvinna, na atisakta. Not too much disgusted, not too much attached. He can practice bhakti. So is qualified with this mentality, complete disgust. What he will do? Generally, a person who is completely disgusted with the material world, he practices jnana. He has nothing to do with this material world. He wants to give up this material world. Prabhupada gives a simple example. If you see $100 bill lying on the road, what will Karmi, Jnani, and Bhakta? What are the different responses?
Karmi will pick up and put it in his
Put it in his pocket.
Yeah,
Jnani,
he will not touch it.
मेरा है ही नहीं, I have nothing to do with this. Just leave it. Devotee or Hindu.
He will return it to the owner.
Ah. So Jnani means nirvinna. I have nothing to do with this material world. Disgusted. So disgust is qualification for Jnana. So Devahuti at this stage, she is at the level of practice Jnana. She is disgusted. She tells, I'm disgusted with this material world. A devotee is not disgusted. Devotee, what is the mentality of a devotee? He uses everything in bhakti. What is this called? Principle? Yukta Vairagya. A Jnani will say, why should I use anything? I don't want to touch anything. Famous story of Prabhupada, one devotee came and said, Prabhupada, this Swamiji is so renounced, no? He doesn't even touch the money. What did Prabhupada say? उनका एक फोटो दिखाया ऐसा करके, disgusted. Money was kept and this yogi was doing like this. Prabhupada ने क्या किया? और लेके आओ, I will embrace it. You know. So that is a devotee. That, but I use it in Krishna's service. So therefore, disgust is qualification for Gyan. Devotee is not disgusted with this material world. Devotee is detached, not disgusted. Disgusted means I don't want to do anything with this. That is disgust. Detached means I'll not use it for myself. I'll use it for Krishna's service. So at this level, by good fortune of association of devotees, one's faith arises in the process of devotional service. Then he develops the quality of na nirvinna na atisakta. Otherwise, na nirvinna nitara. At this stage, she is qualified to practice jnana. But Kapilade very nicely brings her to the practice of bhakti. Because he is thinking, अरे मैं भगवान यहाँ पे बैठे हैं और ये ज्ञान मार्ग फॉलो करना चाहती हैं, भक्ति क्यों नहीं कर रही? So this is a very important verse. No? Prabhupada writes, Asad Indriya Tarshana. That is temporary senses. From being agitated by temporarily manifest senses of the material body. A person wanders from many species of life, sometimes up, sometimes down, sometimes on this planet. So little detachment is needed in the practice of bhakti, and that detachment automatically develops by practice of bhakti more. Which verse tells that the practice of bhakti brings detachment? We have memorized also.
Vasudeva.
Vasudeve Bhagavati
Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Janati, Vairagya.
Vairagya. Vairagya has to develop. So Vairagya is not disgust. Vairagya is different from disgust. Vairagya means I am not using it for myself, but I'll use everything for Krishna. That is Vairagya. And intense disgust means it is a qualification for Jnana. So Jnani is disgusted. And Ati Sakta is a quality of what? Who? Karmi. He is a Ati Asakta. So Jnani rejects everything, Karmi accepts everything for himself, and Bhakta uses everything for Krishna's service. So Devoti here, she is expressing disgust. And to Kardamuni also she said the same thing. Saham Bhagavata Nunam Vanchita Maya Drinam Yatvam Vimuktidam Prapya Namokshay Bandana. I am cheated, solidly cheated. Vanchita Maya Drinam. अच्छे से मेरे को धोखा दिया है ना. I am cheated. So I didn't utilize the opportunity. So that's how. As of now, she is not qualified for pure devotion. Of course, that is a pastime. She is the mother of the Lord.
No, this thing is coming in my mind while you're speaking. See, her qualification, look at, is the wife of
Yeah.
Kardamuni,
So
mother
that
of
is-
Kapil Dev,
So all these pastimes are there to.
daughter of Manu.
मनु कौन है ये भाई क्या बोल रहे हैं आप?
She's using the strong words for herself.
Yes. You can tell that though, बिचारा अपने this is humility, but as a technical analysis of this word, Smanchatamaya, Nirvinna is a qualification for Gyan. So very soon she'll be qualified for devotion. Very quickly, Kapila in just few verses, he'll bring her to the practice of bhakti. So that shows that it was just external for her. So Devavati, she asked for mukti. Yeah, she's already liberated platform, but she's acting like this. It's like Arjun was a liberated devotee, he acted like that. So that अभी सांख्य कैसे बोलते फिर ये? So yattam vimuktidam prapya, she's asking for mukti. But Krishna, Kapil Dev will give him bhakti, give her bhakti. So Prabhupada writes, we should know that beyond these temporary senses are permanent senses, which are now covered by material body. Devotional service involves freeing the senses from this contamination. When contamination is removed, then the senses reach Sad Indriya. Abhi Asad Indriya, from Asad Indriya to Sad Indriya. Sad Indriya means eternal activities. What are the eternal activities of the senses? Yeah, that is devotional service. Eternal sensory activities are called devotional service, whereas temporary sensory activities are called as sense gratification. That is nicely described, Prabhupada writes. Unless one becomes tired of material sense gratification, there is no opportunity to hear transcendental message. So Prabhupada doesn't go into the technical details of nirvana and all that. He takes it in a very, very positive attitude that this is needed to practice bhakti. If a person is not detached from material world, he will not be attached to Krishna. I think we have discussed earlier also, there are 4 types of people. Karmis, Sahajiyas, Mayavadis, and Bhakta. In terms of attachment and detachment to matter and attachment and detachment to Krishna, where all these 4 fit? What is the quality of Karmi?
It's attached to matter and detached to Krishna.
Attached to matter and detached from Krishna. And Sahajiya?
He is attached to matter, attached to self.
नहीं, he is attached to Krishna.
But
वो डिवोटी है, कृष्ण के ही डिवोटी है वो.
they are both
Yeah, they are attached to matter and attached to Krishna also. Krishna की पूजा करेंगे, but they are attached to sense gratification also. They'll do sinful activities. They'll do all the wrong. They'll break four regulative principles, but they'll worship Krishna only. Okay. Third thing, Mayavadis.
Both detached.
doesn't matter.
Matter detached from Krishna. दोनों भी नहीं चाहिए हमको. And devotee.
Attached to Krishna, detached to.
So Krishna detached matter.
Yes. So Sahajiya and Mayavadi में से better कौन है?
Sajya better है.
Religion better.
इतना गड़बड़ कर रहा है और आप बोल रहे हैं बेटर है.
Efficient Sudaraj.
Yes.
Exactly. Many things with gray shade, not like exactly white and black.
Example, for example.
Like a person may have bit of like devotee. Your devotees are different.
No, I'm talking about Sahajiya. I'm not about talking about Sadhak Bhakta. Sadhak Bhakta follows regulative principles. Sahajiya, they don't follow regulative principles. But they worship Krishna.
Sadhya is the who in Vrindavan they like that.
गौरंग नागरी सखी बेकी आउल बाउल करता भाजा नीड़ा और सब जो भी 13 संप्रदाय है ना, सुना है ना आप लोगों ने? मतलब you'll find them in Navadip and Jagannath Puri and Vrindavan. They'll dress themselves as sakhis. Somebody will worship Krishna Mahaprabhu and they will do Raslila with Mahaprabhu also. मतलब तो कृष्णा ही है, तो कृष्णा और महाप्रभु में क्या अंतर है? उनको गौरांग नगरी है वो. They are mixing rasas. Mahaprabhu's
मुझे पर
mood is
माया
not. Sorry.
Mayavadi people, Mayavadis are worse because they don't even believe in the form of Krishna.
Yeah, of course, that is there. So Mayavadis and Sahajiyas, they are, externally speaking, even you see Mayavadis, they live a very austere life. They are completely controlled in their senses, renounce the world. और आप बोल रहे हैं मायावादीज आर लोअर देन Sahajiyas, ये क्या है? So that is tattva we should understand. Tattva is attachment किधर है उनका? Because they are attached to Krishna, Sahajiyas. If they get association of devotees, proper devotees of them, they'll be purified very quickly. Apichet sudurachar, holy said. So that's how it is. Okay. Unless one becomes tired of material sense gratification, there is no opportunity to hear transcendental message from a person like Kapila. Now she continues. She again tells, after many births have attained you, please help me. तस्य त्वं तमसोऽन्धस्य दुष्पारस्याद्य पारगम् जन्मनामन्ते
चक्षुर्जन्मनामन्ते लब्धं मे अनुग्रहात्. Your Lordship is my only means of getting out of this darkest region of ignorance, because you are my transcendental I, which by your mercy only I have attained after many births. Hare Krishna.
So she'll glorify Kapila in many beautiful words. In this verse she's saying, you are my Satchakshu, you are my transcendental eye, you are the torch. Next verse she'll say, you are like the axe. Please cut off this tree of material existence. Tasya tvam tamaso andhasya dushparasya. This tamasa andha is dushparasya. I cannot cross this. But tvam tamaso, you can take me out. Paragam, you can take me across this intense darkness because you can show the light. Satchakshu, you are like that torchlight, spiritual torchlight. Satchakshur janmanam ante labdham. After many births I have attained this. It is not an ordinary achievement for a living entity to get such chakshu. Chakshudan dilo jai janme janme prabhu se. So it is not ordinary netra, it is chakshu. What is the difference between chakshu and netra? नेत्रदान नहीं बोलते ना, चक्षुदान. क्यों चक्षुदान क्या है? What is चक्षु and what is नेत्र? आप लोगों ने पढ़ा इसलिए पूछ रहा हूँ.
Eyeball and vision.
ओके, थोड़ा टेक्निकल टर्म्स में क्या बोलते हैं? That is cross eye, this is subtle eye. पढ़ा है ना, subtle senses.
Chakshu is subtle eye.
चक्षु is subtle eye. इसलिए इसे चक्षुदान, नेत्रदान तो नहीं देते ना, गुरु क्या देते हैं? चक्षुदान देते हैं. Guru can give the vision by which you can see things as they are. So when the body dies, the subtle body along with the subtle senses go to the next body. Which verse in Bhagavad Gita tells this? Shrotram, Chakshu, Sparshanam cha, Rasanam, Ghranam evacha, Adhisthaya Manaschayam Vishayanupasevate. उत्क्रामंतम सितम वापि भुंजानम वा गुणान्वितम विमूढ़ानाम पश्यन्ति ज्ञान चक्षुषा. 15th chapter math. So all these are the subtle senses. Shrotra, it is not karna. Shrotra. Chakshu, sparsha, it is not tvacha, it is sparsha. Shrotram, chakshu, sparsham. Rasanam, it is not jiva, it is rasanam. Ghranam, it is not nasika, it is ghrana. So subtle body goes to the next body. Vayu gandhani vashayas, air carries aroma. The soul is carried by this subtle body to the next body. So Sat Chakshu, you have given me Chakshudan. You are my transcendental eye. Prabhupada writes. This verse is very instructive. It indicates the relationship between spiritual master and disciple. Chakshudan dilojai janme janme prabhu se. Disciple is put in the darkest region of ignorance. It is very difficult to get out of this. But if one is fortunate enough to get association like Kapiladev, a bona fide guru, then he can or she can cross. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam. Netronmilitam nahi hua hai. Chakshunmilitam. You have opened my spiritual vision. And it happens after many, many lifetimes. She's saying, Janmanam ante labdham bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan. Agya jnanavan maam prakatyate. Now she asks a question. Okay, again, in the 9th verse, she tells you are like the sun. First, she tells you are my eye. She tells you are like the sun. Ya adyo bhagavan pumsam.
आद्यो भगवान् पुंसाम्
Vaibhavam kila
ईश्वरो वै भगवान् किल
hasya
लोकस्य तमसाङ्गस्य
bodhitaha.
चक्षुसूर्य एवोदितः.
Personality of Godhead, the origin and the supreme Lord of all living entities. You have arisen to illuminate the rays of the sun in order to dissipate the darkness of the ignorance of the living entities.
Yes. You are Adya Bhagavan, you are the original Lord, Pumsa, the Supreme Personality, Bhavan Kila. Ishvara Vai Bhavan. Bhavan means aap. Hindi, Sanskrit mein Bhavan means aap. Twam means tum. Bhavan means aap. So although his son, aap hai, because she knows that he is Supreme Lord. Lokasya, why you have appeared here? Lokasya tamasa andhasya, in order to dissipate the darkness of ignorance. You are like Chakshu Surya Ivoditaha, you have arisen to disseminate the rays of the sun. So Prabhupada focus on the Adya, then Pushpum Samishwaraha, you are like the sun. Without sun, what is the use of the eye? It is useless. Therefore, first question she asks in the 10th verse. She tells you are like the sun, you are like the eye. Now please dispel this illusion. First remove this, you should remove this illusion. Because this illusion is really thick. Please remove this. She tells in the first she asks the first question in the 10th verse. Athame deva sammoham
देव सम्मोहम्
arhasi
प्रकृष्टं समहर्षि
aham mametiti
योपग्रहोऽहमिति
yojitastvaya.
इत्यस्मिन् योजितत्रया
Now be pleased, my Lord, to dispel my great delusion. Due to my feeling of false ego, I have been engaged by your Maya and have identified myself with the body and consequent bodily relations.
He's saying, Athame, now, therefore, now. Deva sammoham, this illusion, O my Lord, O Deva, apakrashtum, please dispel. Tam arhasi, please be pleased upon me and dispel this illusion, क्योंकि आपने ही दिया है, आपने ही बनाया है. Yo avagraho aham mameti iti. Which type of illusion you should dispel? Aham mameti iti. ये वाला जो मोह है वो निकालिए. अवग्रह. This misconception of aham mameti iti, please remove this because ye tasmin yojitastvaya. You have only created this, you have employed this illusion. So till now she was requesting, now she's saying arhasi. Arhasi means you should remove. You should do it. Just like Krishna says, Nattam shochitum arhasi. You should not lament, Arjun. She's saying you should remove. A subordinate can't speak like this. Only authority can speak. ऊपर वाले बोल सकता है. So she's like थोड़ा motherly भी है. निकालो मेरे को यहाँ से. You have this. You have put me in this. So what is the nature of this illusion? Aham mameti iti. And actually, she's not blaming Kapila. That you have put me in this situation. It is like it comes in fourth canto when Dhruv Maharaj he gets darshan of Lord, and Lord tells that you will get Dhruvaloka, you will rule for 36,000 years, and all the benedictions he gives, and then he tells that in future your stepbrother will be killed, your stepmother will be killed, she will die in forest fire, and then he leaves. And then Dhruva, he tells, I am cheated by these devtas. ये देवताओं ने मेरे को मेरी बुद्धि भ्रष्ट कर दी. That's why I asked for all these things. So there, why he is blaming devtas? Devta की तो सारे picture में, So this is a mood of a person. He tells, Matir vidushita deva. मेरी बुद्धि ना देवताओं ने दूषित कर दी. इसीलिए मैंने ये भौतिक चीजों की कामना कर दी. So now he is lamenting. Actually, he's not passing the responsibility. इनकी गलती है, मेरी गलती नहीं है. It is like a person who is really upset with himself, Just like you make a mistake and when your friend was also there and he knew that ये तुम गलत कर रहा है. So what you will tell? बताना चाहिए था ना मेरे को, तुम देख रहे थे ना. Why you didn't tell me? No. So that is a mood of frustration, a person says all these things. So Devavati is in that mood. I am really frustrated. You have created this illusion. Now you please take me out of this. So these verses are not for critical analysis. ऐसा क्यों बोल रही है कि मुझे आपने डाल दिया है. This is a rasa there. You should understand the mood of frustration in these verses. Bichari Devavati is really frustrated. you know. So some verses should not be taken literally. Some verses we should understand the mood. Just like there is a verse, Durapa Yalpa Tapasa Seva Vaikuntha Vartmasu Yatropagiyate Nityam Deva Devo Janardhan. Maitreya Vidurji tells Maitreya, unless one has performed sufficient tapasya, one cannot get devotion. Literal meaning of this verse is Durapa hi alpa tapasa, जिसने तपस्या कम की है, durapa, he cannot achieve seva of devotees. Is it right statement? Technically, आपने सेवा तपस्या नहीं की इसलिए आपको सेवा नहीं मिली. What is the qualification for bhakti? Qualification क्या है भक्ति का?
Faith.
And
Mercy.
mercy of devotees and faith. So where is tapasya here? Tapasya is not a criteria to get devotion. So these verses, they should not be taken literally. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur tells this. This should not be taken literally. Durapa yalpa tapasa seva vaikuntha vartmasu. It is a way to glorify the process of devotion. Don't take it literally. So that's how we have to understand, because seva and tapasya cannot lead one to Vaishnava seva. It is not like that. बहुत तपस्या करो आपको वैष्णव सेवा मिलेगी. No, it is not like that. So it is an allegorical way to adore Vaishnava seva. Vaishnava seva is so great that one cannot get Vaishnava seva by doing tapasya. So literal statements, you should understand where is literal, where is allegorical, where is metaphorical. वो समझने के लिए आचार्यों के पास जाना पड़ता है. It is like somebody says, if we are not aware of metaphorical statements, if somebody says, वो ना घोड़ा बेच के सो रहा था मल में. अच्छा, कौन सा घोड़ा बेचा? कितने में बिका वो? If somebody asks all these questions, that means it doesn't know उसका purpose क्या है. That means उसका purpose क्या है? Meaning क्या actual? घोड़ा बेच के सो रहा है मतलब? सुना है ना आप लोगों ने? आपने नहीं सुना? मतलब नॉर्थ इंडिया में वेरी कॉमन है. घोड़ा बेच के सो रहा है मतलब ही स्लीपिंग विदाउट एनी एंजाइटी. उसके पीछे एक स्टोरी है. वन पर्सन ही ब्रॉट horses and उसका बहुत ये लंबा स्टोरी, and then he sold off all the horses and then he was sleeping peacefully. So we should understand, all these verses, yojitas tvaya, you have employed this illusion, now you should remove it. This is not for analysis. This is just to understand the mood of devotee. Like that. She is really desperate. मुझे निकाल दो इधर से. In desperation, a person may speak something which will not be exactly in tattva, line of tattva. Prabhupada writes, the false view of identifying oneself, one's body as oneself, and claiming things possessed in relationship with this body is called as Maya. Devahoti has stated that false identification of the body with the self and attachment for positions in relation to the body are also under the direction of the Lord. Does this mean, Prabhupada asks the question, does this mean that the Lord discriminates by engaging one in devotional service and other in sense gratification? वही बोल रही ना देवहूति, आपने ही मुझे डाला इधर, आपने ही फंसाया है. जैसे लोग बोलते हैं ना, भगवान की इच्छा नहीं है तो कैसे आएंगे हम मंदिर, जब बुलावा आएगा तब आ जाएंगे. That is what one can ask. See this, अरे देवहूति भी वही बोल रही है, आपने डाला मुझे. Prabhupada writes, if that were true, it would be an incongruity on the part of Supreme Lord, but it is not a fact. As soon as living entity forgets his position of servitor of the Lord, wants to enjoy sense gratification, he is captured by Maya. Krishna bhuliya jiva bhoga vancha kare. Nikatastha Maya Tare Jhapatiya Dhare. Prabhupada writes. This capture by Maya is the consciousness of false identification with the body and attachment for possessions of the body. These are activities of Maya. So Lord, he does not discriminate, he just facilitates. If somebody wants to forget Krishna, Lord will facilitate him. If somebody wants to remember Krishna, Lord will facilitate that also. If somebody thinks, मैं सब सुनता हूँ लेकिन जब सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन आते हैं सब भूल जाता हूँ. Why this is happening to me? Because we have not applied those principles, we have not desired enough. So our prominent desire is enjoyment. So Krishna is facilitating that desire. So when our prominent desire is service, Krishna will facilitate that desire. He'll make us forget sense gratification. And as for a sadhaka bhakta, he remembers sense gratification even if he is in presence of Krishna. But for a pure devotee, he will remember Krishna even if he is in presence of sense gratificatory objects. So Krishna facilitates the prominent desire of a devotee. So that is how Matta Smriti Jnana Pohanam Cha. He is just facilitating. Lord is not responsible, he is reciprocal. Ye yatha mam prapadyante. That's it. So then, next is a very, very beautiful verse. This 445, you should memorize verses something. Test bhi hai na? Okay, will not memorize. We'll continue. 11th verse. Tantvāgataham sharanam sharanyam
संसारताहं शरणं
Vabhritya samsaragataro kutharam
स्वभृत्य संसारकरो कुठारम्
Aham prakrite purushasya
जिज्ञासयाहं प्रकृते पुरुषस्य
Sadharma vidam varishtham.
नमामि तद्धर्महितां वरिष्ठम्
Devotion continues. I have taken shelter of your lotus feet because you are the only person of whom to take shelter. You are the axe which can cut the tree of living existence. I therefore offer my obeisances on you, who are the greatest of all transcendentalists, and inquire from you as to the relationship between man and woman and between spirit and man.
Tam tva gata aham. I am approaching you. Sharanam, I am taking your shelter because you are Sharanyam. You are worth taking shelter. So Lord is worth everything. क्या क्या है words? He's worth hearing, worth listening, worth taking shelter. क्या आता है वो? कौन सा है?
स्मरणीय
Smaraniya, Sprihaniya. Sprihaniya means? खाली वर्ड याद मत करिए उसका मीनिंग भी याद करिए स्प्रिहनिया मींस व्हाट स्प्रिहा मीनिंग वो स्पर्श होता है स्प्रिहा मींस डिजायर इज वर्थ डिजायरिंग you should desire Krishna. Sprihaniya Sheela. Sprihaniya Ikshaniya means worth seeing. Bhajaniya कीर्तनीय स्मरणीय और क्या है अर्हणीय भी होता है अर्हणीय भी वर्थ वर्शिपिंग अर्हणीय okay he is sharanyam he is worth taking shelter of therefore what do you do O my lord swabhritya samsara taro kutharam you are like the transcendental axe you can cut off the tree of material existence for your servant Swabhritya. The tree of material existence described in 15th chapter Bhagavad Gita. Urdhva Moolam Adashakam. Krishna can cut off that. Therefore, Jigyasyaya Aham. I inquire from you. What are you inquiring? Prakriti Purushasya. Can you tell me the relationship between matter and spirit, man and women? Namami, I offer my obeisances to you. You are Sadharma Vidam Varishtham. You are the greatest of all transcendentalists. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, she is telling, I am asking you and no one else. I should ask you and no one else with a desire to know about Purusha, the Jiva, and the Prakriti. She wants to know matter, spirit, and soul, super soul, controller of both. You are the best among the knowers of the process to destroy samsara. And what is this Sadharma? Sadharma is the process of Bhakti Yoga. Prabhupada writes. Sankhya philosophy deals with Prakriti and Purush. Purush means Supreme Lord and anyone who imitates. That is also Purush. So either a man and women, both are Purusha only. Both are having enjoying mentality. Prakriti means nature. In this material world, the nature is being exploited by Purusha. The intricacies in the material world of the relation between Purusha and Prakriti is called Sansar. The definition of Sansar, what is Sansar? Intricacies in this material world of the relationship between Prakriti and Purusha. So Devotee wants to know so that one can cut off this. Prabhupada quotes this verse. 15th chapter, first verse. Samsara taru. What is this samsara taru? Ashwattamenam suviroda moolam asangashastrena dridhena chittva. So she's telling the same thing. Please cut off. Ashwattha, this tree is a very deeply rooted tree. It has branches both going upward, downward. कहाँ से शुरू हो रहा है, कहाँ खत्म हो रहा है, पता ही नहीं. So therefore, Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, don't try to find out the root, just cut this tree. You can't find where it began, just cut this tree of material existence. So therefore, she's saying, you are Kutharam. You can cut. I can't cut. So please help me. It is recommended there. One has to cut the root of this tree with the axe of detachment. Asanga shastrena. What is this attachment? The attachment involves Prakriti and Purusha. Devahuti questioned Kapila, for she knew that only he should cut her attachment. And then Prabhupada describes something more about Prakriti and Purusha and what is this samsara bandhan, the material conditioned life. And he tells Lord is Sharanyam. He is worthy personality who can give shelter. Nothing in this world, no one else in this world can give shelter. People, they take shelter of things of the world and they get frustrated because nothing of this world survives. Now, where it is described that people, they take shelter of fallible things in the world. वही नहीं रहेंगे तो क्या है? They are creating an army of fallible soldiers. Where it comes? Anyone remembers? हाँ, वैसा ही कुछ था उसमें. शुद्ध गोस्वामी is telling. उसके बाद आता है ये. देह, अपत्य, कलत्र आदि आत्म सैन्य. They are the army. But asatsu api, they are fallible. पश्यन अपि न पश्यति, देखते हैं ये चले गए, ये भी गया, वो भी गया, फिर भी नहीं, मेरे साथ नहीं होगा ऐसा. So they are not worth taking shelter of. Only person worth taking shelter is Krishna, Sharanya. That's right. Sharadharman Pratyajya Mamekam Sharanam. That's what Lord Ram tells. That अरे आज ये विभीषण आ रहा है, रावण भी आएगा, उसको भी मैं शरण दूंगा. Because anyone who comes and tells one Sakriteva Prapannoya Tavasmiti Chayajate Abhayam Sharvada Tasmai Dadami Etad Vratam. So he is Sharanyam. He is worth taking shelter. And then Prabhupada describes Sadharma Vidam and what is Dharma and what is Sadharma. Sadharma means devotional service. Next verse. So after Maitreya Muni, after Devahuti, she asks this question. She calls him torch, she calls him transcendental eye, she calls him the transcendental axe. Cut off this tree. I just want to be free of all this material existence. Help me. It looks like she's really praying for liberation. Yeah. So now, after hearing all these wonderful things, from 12th to 27th verses, he answers, Lord will answer the first question of Devahuti. She asks around 5 questions in all throughout this series of chapters. Maitreya Uvacha
Acha
Iti Tomatum Nirvadyamipsitam
iti tomato niravadyamithitam
Pumsamapavargavardhanam
nisamya pumsamapavargavarthanam
Bhavatam Satam Gati
yapi yatyatmavatam satam gatim
Smita
Vabhrat ishat simato shikapam.
Maitreya said, after hearing what his mother's uncontaminated desire for transcendental realization, the Lord thanked her within himself for her persistence, and thus his face smiled. He explained the path of the transcendentalists who are interested in self-realization.
Yes. As Prajya is telling, how can she get into illusion? So Maitreya Muni is answering here. Niravadyamipsita. This desire is uncontaminated desire. ऐसा कैसे uncontaminated? She is saying, I want to be liberated. So there is a contamination of mukti jnana here. See, uncontaminated desire. Iti swamatu niravadyam ipsitam. Ipsita means common name. Ipsita. Ipsita का मतलब क्या होता है मालूम? Desire. Niravadya ipsita. Nishamya, when he heard, pumsam apavargavardhanam. Why it was uncontaminated? Because it was for the transcendental realization of whole humanity. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes in the purport. He tells, you are mother of me. How can you be Maya? Anyways, I'll teach you something to deliver the common people through teaching you. So just like Krishna has put Arjun into confusion, he has put his mother into confusion. Krishna does it only to his very trusted devotees. He'll not do this to everyone. Because the बाकी devotee बोलेंगे लीजिए फीडबैक में जा रहा हूँ इतना आप टेस्टिंग कर रहे हो So Krishna loves everyone, he trusts few and he tests them only. No? He puts them into testing situations so that they will not question him, ये क्या हो रहा है? They will set the standards of devotion. That's why he put Arjun into confusion. That's why he put Parikshit Maharaj to tests. That's why he put Pandavas to test. Dhiya abhinandya atmavatam. The Lord thanked her. Abhivandya. क्यों thank you क्यों बोल रहे हैं? Because it is for the benefit of entire humanity. Atmavatam satam gati. She is asking for welfare of all the transcendentalists. Therefore he smiled. Babhasha Ishat Smita. Smita Shobhitananam. Lord smiles is all. Lord always have a Smita Hasya. अलग अलग प्रकार की हंसी भी होती है ना एनओडी में अच्छे से डिस्क्रिप्शन आता है देयर आर मेनी टाइप्स ऑफ लाफ्टर स्मित हास्य then there is when the teeth little teeth is visible and then all the teeth are visible and then when somebody laughs with the ऐसा beating on the thighs and वो दूसरों को भी मार रहा है so different types of laughter are described इसमें वो हास्य रस में बताते हैं, रूप गोस्वामी हास्य रस में अलग अलग प्रकार की हंसी भी होती है. So Lord's smile is many times described as स्मित शोभिताननम. हमेशा स्मित हास्य रहता है, उसमें उनके दांत भी नहीं दिखते हैं. स्मित हास्य, just a smile. So here also the Lord is smiling. So our questions seem to be very selfish. मुझे यहाँ से मुक्त करो, निकालो मुझे से, I am frustrated, मैं थक गए, बस हो गया अभी. But that is for the welfare of everyone. Therefore he is smiling. So now Kapila Dev, in answer to this question, अभी बहुत सारे टेक्निकल और बहुत सारे कनेक्शंस आता है, so try to remember as much as possible. First question she asks, मुझे निकालो यहाँ से, take me out of this. Nirvinna, I'm really frustrated. So Kapila Dev, in now series of verses, he will tell there are 3 ways to get out of material illusion. Jnana, Ashtanga, and Bhakti. And he calls it as Adhyatmika Yoga. The next first word of the next verse. Yoga Adhyatmika. So he offers Adhyatmik Yoga as a solution to her problems. And ये आध्यात्मिक योग क्या है? Well, there are 3 types of आध्यात्मिक योग. Sankhya, Ashtanga, and Bhakti. So this is a seed verse. The 13th verse. This is a seed verse which expands into 3 topics and 9 chapters of this third canto, from 25th to 33. The Adhyatmic Yoga is described in 9 chapters. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Yoga Adhyatmika Pumsam
योग आध्यात्मिक पुंसां
Shreyasaya Me
मतो मे श्रेयसाय मे
Paratir Yatra
अत्यन्तो परति यत्र
Kasya Cha.
सुखस्य च दुःखस्य च.
The personality of Godhead and child. The yoga system which relates to the Lord and the individual soul, which is meant for the ultimate benefit of the living entity, and which causes detachment from all happiness and distress in the material world, is the highest yoga system.
So he says, you want to be free from material illusion? Nirvinnanitaram bhuman asarindriya darshanat, nikalo mujhe idhar se, you are the axe, you are the torch, you are the eye. Please help me, you have put me into this illusion, which he tells in the 10th verse, yojitam toya, apne hi dala hai. He tells, okay, I'm giving a solution. My proposal is, follow Adhyatmic Yoga. Yoga Adhyatmika. What is this Adhyatmic Yoga? Pumsam Mato Nishrayasayame. This yoga relates to Lord and the individual soul. That differentiates between the Lord and the soul. This is my opinion. Mata. Nishrayasa Mata. Nishrayas means highest. This is highest yoga system according to my opinion, which will benefit everyone. And what will happen, Atyant uparati. It will cause complete detachment. From what? Sukhasya and dukhasya. दोनों से मुक्ति मिल जाएगी. So there are 3 categories he is going to propose here in this Adhyatmic Yoga. Jnana, Ashtanga, and Bhakti. And then first he will tell about Jnana in brief and Yoga in brief, and then he'll elaborate Bhakti in brief in a little more detail. And then he will tell to follow Bhakti, you have to go to Bhakta. He'll describe the glory of Bhakta. So all that he will describe in this chapter. So, okay, just read the purport and we'll end here. In material world, everyone is trying to get some material happiness. But as soon as we get some material happiness, there is material distress also. One cannot have unadulterated happiness. He gives an example. If you want to drink milk, we have to bother to maintain a cow and keep her fit to supply milk. Yoga system is meant, as described by the Lord, is meant to end all material happiness and material distress. And Prabhupada doesn't wait for Kapil Dev to answer. Prabhupada ने ये इतना सब टेक्निकल पढ़ के वो बोलेगा क्या करना है वो बताओ मेरे को भूल जाएगा कुछ नहीं करेगा. The best yoga as taught in Bhagavad Gita by Krishna is Bhakti Yoga. And it begins by Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya. Of course, one may say that he is not disturbed by material happiness. But he does not know that just after one enjoys happiness, distress will follow. Which verse? With every happiness, distress is attached. Happiness is a birthplace of misery. Ah, birthplace of misery.
ये संस्पर्श जब होगा दुख योन एवते.
Yes. यही संस्पर्श जाप होगा. दुख योनि है वो, वहां से कि दुख ही जन्म लेगा. When you enjoy happiness, distress will take birth for sure. इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है, you know. आप कैसे भूल सकते हैं ये वर्ष? This is the law of material world. मतलब गायनेकोलॉजिस्ट से बोल दुख योनि, distress will take birth for sure. Lord Kapila states that the yoga system is a science of spirit. One practices yoga in order to attain perfection. There is no question of happiness and distress when somebody is at the material platform. Okay, so we'll end here. Of these three, Kapil Dev will present Bhakti Yoga first, which is most suitable. Then Jnana, then Yoga, and then he will describe in detail Jnana in the 26th, Yoga in 27th, and Bhakti in 28th, and conclusion in 29th. And then she will ask some more questions about Jnana in 30th, and that's how the process, the chapters progress. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagvatam ki jai.
One question. In this,
And there's a question here.
Mother Devhuti is had asked Ivan Kardamuni also that
Panchita Maya Adridam.
so now what I think he was also qualified to give her the complete of this sort of transcendental knowledge to deliver. Is it because of the arrangement of the Lord that is why it is happening like this, or
Yes,
because she knew who her husband and what it is, but that time Abhayam, he was looking for that, so that can be given there, mentioned, given by only by the Supreme Lord.
yes, that was the arrangement which was done. So Kardamuni, he knew this is my role, this much I have to do, and rest to give fearlessness. That Kapila Dev will give. I have given the child, now he'll give fearlessness. So he knew his role. So every devotee knows how much he should do or she should do. उसकी सेवा भी मैं ही कर देता हूँ, मुझे तो आता है. But there is a service for another person also. So every devotee should know what is his service and what is not his service. So that is how Kapil Dev Kardamuni acted. मेरा सेवा इतना ही है. So he did that and then he peacefully left, leaving the services for others.
You don't want to know what you want to say. We didn't get any say.
कभी कभी क्या है, हनुमान को भी केवल बोलते हैं खड़े रहो बस, चिल्लाना इधर आपकी सेवा वही है बस. बोले मालूम मैंने क्या किया था राम जी की सेवा में. I did everything. I was lifting mountains और यहाँ पे बोले चिल्लाओ. Anyways, that's all.
Everybody was helping you, which you have very also.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhupada ki jai.